Good morning, students. Today we'll be continuing with the topic events of sexual reproduction. So, first event we have already done, that is the pre-fertilization event. Now you'll be dealing with fertilization event and followed by post-fertilization event. So, coming to the fertilization event, it is the most active event, or another term, vital event. The definition is given here. It is the process of fusion of haploid gametes. It is the process of fusion of haploid gametes. Okay. Another term for fertilization, it is shown here, syngamy. So 1 mark question, what is syngamy? What is fertilization? Your answer is right here. So after the fusion, what is formed? Yes, the formation of diploid zygote. So this is your definition, process of fusion of haploid gametes which results in the formation of diploid zygote. So very important, haploid gamete, diploid zygote, and the term fusion and here formation. So I hope it is clear. Now there are exceptional cases which we have already come across with the term called parthenogenesis. So this is 1 mark question here. What is parthenogenesis? You can say it is the development of female gamete into a new individual. I repeat, it is the development of unfertilized female gamete. Development of unfertilized female gamete into a new individual. Okay, that's why we have written here in red. Here no fertilization occur, then what is possible? The female gamete can develop into a new individual, which is called as parthenogenesis. Okay, so this is actually your exceptional case, and that's why it is included under asexual reproduction. Okay, that's why we have written as exceptional case. It is not coming under sexual, but we are saying a female gamete without fertilization can develop into a new organism, which is called as parthenogenesis. So here there are some examples. In case of plants, banana and papaya. In case of animals, your drones, your rotifers, some lizards and turkey. This is a 2 mark question. Give the examples of parthenogenesis. So here is one idea to give you how a single egg is present and there are many sperms swimming towards the egg for fertilization. So you can find this particular place where male gamete has entered the female gamete, and this process is called as fusion or syngamy. So there are two types of fertilization or two types of syngamy based on the occurrence, based on where it happens, where the fusion of gamete happen. So there are two types: external fertilization, internal fertilization. For the first one, external fertilization, syngamy occurs outside the body of female organism. That's the definition. You have your examples here. Majority of the algae, your fishes, amphibians, these are your animals, and certain the lower plants which show external fertilization. So the external fertilization means fusion of gamete occurs outside the body. Okay, so here all these organisms release a large number of gametes into water medium. So this example I'll show here. You can find your amphibian, the frog. The female frog is down. Above the female frog is your male frog. They are both releasing the gametes. You can find the gametes here that are fusing outside the female body. Similarly, in case of fishes, you can see here female first lays the eggs, followed by the male fishes that spreads the sperm over the eggs. That's how the external fertilization occurs. So the advantages and the disadvantages we'll be studying under external fertilization. Advantages, they show synchrony. The meaning of synchrony means both male and female together. Imagine this is the male and this is the female. Both release the gametes at the same time. So here the sperms are produced and here the egg. So both male and female are producing it outside the body, producing inside the body, releasing outside the body. Okay, so both male and female will release the gametes outside the medium at the same time, outside into the water medium. Okay, at the same time. So I hope it is clear. Release of large number of gametes into the water medium. Okay, so what are the advantages? At the same time they release the gametes. Both male body and female body release the gametes at the same time. That's why it is showing synchrony. That is the meaning over here. So it shows synchrony between sexes for the release of gametes in large number. That's how it enhances the chance of syngamy. Okay, so what if this synchrony does not happen? Male will produce at one time, female will produce at another time. Will ever the gametes meet? No, they cannot. Okay, there are chances of, the gametes can face certain dangers and they will die off. There is no chances of meeting. That's why it's a compulsion here. They have to release together the gametes. That's why they show synchrony. Synchrony means mature at the same time. Together they release the gametes. I hope it is clear. Okay, and once they are produced in large number, the male and female gametes are produced in large number, they are released outside and fusion takes place. The syngamy occurs. That leads to the development of large number of offsprings. Okay, it produces large number of offsprings. What could be the disadvantages? Look at the safety level. It is not safe. Okay, there is no safety at all. They are all vulnerable to predators. So these are your examples, amphibians, fishes we have taken in detail. Now, internal fertilization. Syngamy occurs inside the body of female. Syngamy, again, I am repeating, it is a fusion of gametes. So it occurs inside, the fertilization occurs inside. So egg is within the female body. Male gamete is motile or non-motile. It can be anyhow, but majority will be motile. Male gametes are majorly motile. They swim towards the egg or reach towards the egg for the fusion. And same thing over here. Sperms are produced in large number, whereas eggs are produced in less number but reduced significantly. You'll understand why less comparatively with the external. External, you'll find external fertilization, you found it as there are large number of gametes released. But here in case of internal, we are specifying sperms as well as eggs. Okay, we are saying there is a difference. Sperms produce in large number, eggs maybe 1, 2 like that. 1, 2, 3, only so many. Minimum is 1. Okay. The gametes which I said may be motile or non-motile. The male gametes are motile in some, but in case of seeded plants, you will find the male gametes are non-motile. Why non-motile? You might have seen they are carried through pollen grains. Pollen grains are the ones which will go either carried by wind or carried by insect or human hand or birds and then deposit on the stigma. Okay. But how they are again reaching towards the female gamete, you will find the idea here. Once the pollination is over, the pollen grains will germinate a pollen tube. You can find this pollen tube, and within that it carries the male gametes. So you can see the female gamete, it is few in number. Pollen grains there are many outside. Okay, in that only few are depositing on the stigma. They will germinate into pollen tube, and you can observe here, can you see the pollen tube is carrying the 2 male gametes which are non-motile. So non-motile gametes have certain mechanisms. So we have seen clearly in case of seeded plants. So this is in case of plants. you will study in detail in the coming chapter, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So we will not worry about it now. Just to get the idea, these are non-motile gametes. The male gametes are non-motile and are, they are carried by the pollen tube. You can see here pollen grain producing pollen tube and contains the sperm cells. What is that sperm cells? The male gametes. Two male gametes are there. You will understand why two in the coming chapter. This is in case of animals where you will find animals or higher. This is in case of human beings we are discussing here. Can you observe here the egg is released by the ovary and the sperms will enter into the female reproductive tract. So once the sperm and egg meets, they meet at this particular point. You can see how it is circled here and enlarged here. So there the meeting of male and female gamete occur and fusion occurs at that particular spot. So in detail you will study about the human reproduction in the chapter. So that is again your example for. So this is the example for internal fertilization. Third event of sexual reproduction, not type. So third event of sexual reproduction we are studying now. We finished with fertilization. In fertilization we spoke about the syngamy. Syngamy, that is your fusion of gametes. It is of two types, external and internal. So that is what you have studied in fertilization. Now after fertilization what happens? That is discussed here. Post means after fertilization. So here that's what the sentence is there. The process after zygote formation is your post fertilization events. So what and all it will include? The zygote, okay, and embryogenesis. You might wonder, zygote is already formed. Why again? We are saying fusion is only a fertilization. What it results into is zygote. Okay, after fertilization it results into a diploid zygote. That is what we are trying to explain. So don't get confused. First we will discuss about the zygote. It is diploid in nature and it is universally accepted. So it is everywhere they say zygote is diploid in nature. Certain exceptions which you will study in your future classes. We will not detailedly study about that now. But majorly it is diploid in nature. Okay, so zygote, diploid, and it is universally accepted. So it is, its nature is universal in sexually reproducing organisms. That's what I'm saying here. Sexually reproducing organisms, they have zygote as diploid nature. Okay, exceptions you will understand later because of the genetic error, okay, which you are not studying now. You are only studying the basics now. Okay, this zygote can develop again further based on its life cycle or the environment it is exposed to. So the further development depends on the cycle, the life cycle or the environment it has exposed to. Now when I say life cycle, it may be like it has to grow into multicellular organism, or it can develop into a particular lower forms of organism, a colony type, that is unicellular organisms itself, but they divide to form a colony. So environment, it could be harsh environment or the mild environment. So based on the environment it can protect itself. So that is the ability you can find in case of fungi and algae. The zygote during unfavorable environment can produce a thick wall to resist desiccation and damage. Desiccation means the loss of water leading to dryness. Okay, to resist that dryness, it will produce a thick wall to protect itself. Okay, so this is what in case of unfavorable condition you find in fungi and algae. This is what the zygote does. So it is a period of rest before germination. Why before germination? It is not favorable environment. Only when it is favorable it will start germinating. So it is a period of rest. So any thick wall like a cyst, like a like a spore it forms, that is called as your rest, period of rest, until a favorable condition comes. So this is how we are trying to show fusion of gamete that ultimately leads to the formation of zygote. This is another tricky questions that can be asked. Name the vital link that ensures the continuity of species between organisms of one generation to next. So it is definitely the zygote. It is the active link. That is what they are trying to say. It is the single cell which begins life in sexually reproducing organisms. So the question can be again asked. Name the single cell. We all came from that single cell. And that was the link from one generation to another generation. I hope it is giving you little sense. It is a zygote which has given life. That zygote divided and it finally formed you, a multicellular organism. Okay, so I hope it is clear. So name the single cell which begins life in sexually reproducing organism. Answer is zygote. Name the vital link that ensures the continuity of species between one organism of one generation to another generation. That is zygote again. So this is a tricky sentences which can be asked as 1 mark question. You have to note this. Okay, we are going with the second sub-event of post-fertilization, embryogenesis. It is the process of development of embryo from the zygote. Please remember this as your 1 mark answer. This embryogenesis, okay, has 2 stages or 2 steps. So the zygote can undergo 2 steps to form an embryo. First is the cell division process, followed by cell differentiation. You all know very well about this. You'll have studied about it. You might have heard the meristem. In case of plant anatomy, you all have already understood about it. The cell divides your meristematic cells to give rise to permanent tissue, that is their cell differentiation occurs. Similarly, we are studying in case of animals here, the zygote, to form into a multicellular organism, it has to first divide the cells. Why? To increase the number of cells. These cells are still, immature. So to make them mature, cell differentiation occurs. So what is cell differentiation? That is formation of specialized tissues and organs, and finally forming the whole new organism. So this is your important 2 mark question. What are the 2 stages of embryogenesis, or what are the 2 steps the zygote undergoes to form an embryo? This is your answer, cell division and cell differentiation. See that you are explaining with the explanation here. So this is in case of female boy, the human reproductive system. Fusion occurs, syngamy occurs. Once zygote forms, you can find how it goes into a cycle for the formation of your fetus. So till here it is your embryo, then it is the fetus development. Embryo development, fetus development. Okay, don't worry about that, you will study detail in your coming chapters, that is in human reproduction. Okay, so in your, as we study the development of zygote, based on which location they are present, whether inside the body or outside the body, we are categorizing the animals into 2 types. I have written even the 3rd type, it is only for CET or NEET point of view. It is not for the exam. Okay, not there for the exam. Only first 2 types are important. So the animals are categorized based on the development of zygote. Okay, so based on the occurrence, occurrence of where the development occurs. One is oviparous, another one is viviparous. The another term for oviparous animals, we call it as ovipary. Viviparous animals, we term it as vivipary. The third one is ovovivipary, which is not important for you all. First one, oviparous. The term ovi only gives you all, they lay eggs. Okay, they lay eggs. So is the examples here, reptiles, birds. So the development of the zygote is outside the body. Remember, fertilization is inside, internal. But the development is outside. So they are covered, the fertilized eggs are covered by calcareous eggs. The fertilization occurs and then there is your calcareous shell formation around the fertilized egg, which are laid outside. So what are the advantages? There is a protective calcareous shell to protect them. Okay, then they are laid in the safe place in the environment, and the young ones are hatched out after incubation period. So incubation period, it is the time of your development itself. That particular environment, okay, should be there for its proper development, especially the temperature. So you have your certain examples. Just observe how the eggs are shown over here, how the hen lays its eggs, the alligator, the snapping turtle. Okay, similarly you have your, you can even observe the parental care here. Can you see here the python looking after its eggs, the hen looking after its eggs? Okay, so these are all your different examples here. Ducks, the ducklings are here. So you can see the turtle, the young turtle coming out from the egg. All these are your different examples of egg laying animal, which we call it as ovipary or oviparous animals. So you look at this structure showing how safely they are trying to keep the eggs. Okay, so they make the mud. This is the turtles, the tortoise. Okay, they just dig the mud out and then lay their eggs and try to cover it back. So that's how they can protect the eggs that way. Okay, coming to the second type, viviparous animals. So majority of the mammals show viviparous. Vivi means giving birth. Ovi means laying eggs. So you just keep that in mind and give the details. So their development is within the female body. So fertilization also inside, development is also inside itself. Okay, so development of zygote is within the female body. After attaining certain age of growth, the young ones are delivered out of the female body. So you all know very well, in case of humans, it is after 9 months the baby is delivered out. Okay. So what are the advantages of vivipary now? We finished with the ovipary advantages. Coming to vivipary, there is proper embryonic care, there is protection. So when I say embryonic care, I hope you all have understood it is within the womb of the female body. Okay, so there is protection also, and there is nourishment provided through placenta. So you might wonder, if here the nourishment is provided through placenta, what about ovipary? You all know inside the egg there is something, a yellow sac called yolk sac. Yolk sac contains the nourishment in egg laying animals. So they get nourishment from the egg yolk. In case of vivipary, there is less yolk content, and majority of the nourishment is through placenta. Then the chances of survival of young ones is greater. Yes, if you see comparatively, in case of egg laying animals, these have more risk. That is a disadvantage. Need not write, only if it is asked you can write. That's the disadvantage. They do not have safety, whereas in vivipary they are safer, more safe. Embryonic care is there, as well as chances of survival is greater. So these are your certain examples. You can see the human being, you can see the dolphin laying, sorry, not laying, giving birth. You can see even the cow giving birth here. This is how the goat and its young ones are. So this is all your viviparous giving birth process. So this is again in detail how the development is inside the body. You can see the elephant baby, you can see the human fetus. So this is, I've written in very light color but visible to see, not important. Okay, this is not important. Oviparous, ovoviviparous, ovoviviparous. So understanding what it is, these are giving birth also. So understand one by one. You can read here, these are aplacental viviparity. Aplacental, they do not have placenta. Okay, so eggs hatch and babies develop inside the female body itself. So eggs are present inside the female body itself. Eggs are there, there is a calcareous like covering around it. Okay, they develop inside the body of the female itself. There is no placenta to nourish. Okay, so which are those examples? You can find here sharks, rays, snakes, fishes and insects. Only few of them, not all of them, only few of them. So to give you a better idea, you can see the shark that is giving birth here. Shark is supposed to lay eggs, but the eggs are present inside the female body itself and they lay the eggs later on. So this is one more, the stingray giving birth. Look at the video and you'll be, so you might have seen this video before. Have you all have seen it? Okay. Coming to the, in case of animals you've understood, in case of your plants, how is the embryogenesis? We are not going much detail because embryogenesis is dealt in detail in the next chapter, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. We are just going as an overview over here. You can see after fertilization, all these fall off from the flower. Sepals, petals, stamens, they all fall off except the pistil is attached. So what happens to the pistil? So ovary develops into a fruit. Inside the ovary, ovule is present that develops into a seed. And within the ovule, there is the presence of zygote, that is after fertilization zygote, which develop into embryo. This is after fertilization. We are saying the term zygote. Otherwise, ovule only contains egg. After fertilization, egg gets fertilized with the sperm to form zygote. So this particular fruit consists of a thick wall which is protective in nature. The term is called as pericarp. You have already studied before in your first PU classes. Pericarp, that is having your epicarp outer layer, mesocarp middle and endocarp as the inner layer. It may be edible or non-edible. So that is what we are saying. The fruit, and after dispersal the seeds germinate on favorable conditions to produce new plants. So this is what we are saying about the seed that is involved for the formation of the next generation. Seed is forming the link now. Okay, only during favorable conditions it will develop into a new organism. So we are almost come to an end. This is to give you an idea how the pistil only remains into a, so the ovary, you can see the full ovary here. This is full ovary. Okay, so they have shown over here how the stigma and all still is attached, but at very small, as a small structure. Only the ovary is grown bigger. So you can see the ovule has turned into a seed. Ovary wall or the fruit wall, that is pericarp. So ovary wall has turned into a ovary wall has converted or produced itself into fruit wall. Another name is pericarp. So about detailed studies, zygote turning into an embryo, you can observe here. Already studied before how zygote develops into an embryo. So there is your globular stage, heart shaped, okay, then the cotyledons are formed, and finally your embryo is ready. So this part you all have already studied before. This is just to give you an idea. Okay, so we have done with the chapter, the whole chapter. These are your questions. Okay, please answer to your questions and submit the answers to me by tonight by 10 p.m. Okay, there's one rectification I've missed out. Okay, wait, I'll let you know what is that. Good that they actually reminded me about one topic which I have said it another term. I've told it in another term. I'll show you all what is that. Give me a second. I'll just tell you all. Okay. Now in this particular slide you can find the term sporulation. Okay, this sporulation, another term you can say encystation. Encystation you will find even in Plasmodium. Since Plasmodium I have not kept, it is nothing but formation of a thick wall around the live cell. Okay, a thick wall, a resistant thick wall. That is your encystation, cyst-like formation. Okay, but here the term is given as sporulation. We give the term encystation a cyst-like structure also, especially we tell it in protozoans. Not in bacteria, not in Monera. In Protista we give the term as encystation. I hope the idea is clear. Even amoeba, during unfavorable condition, to protect itself, it produces the thick wall. Okay, so that is your encystation. Your cyst formation is called as encystation. Okay. Thank you, students.